Hello friends, family, and people of the internet. My name is Garrett, and I thought that I would share something really cool that I got to do not too long ago. A couple of weeks ago, we got a week off for the Lunar New Year, and I used some of that time to go up to Pyeongchang, which is where the Olympics were happening. And there was lots of stuff that happened on the way there and while I was there that I didn't expect to happen, but I thought you guys would be interested in hearing a few of those stories. Now, I'll start off by saying I didn't actually get to go and see any of the events, just how the timing worked out. I wasn't able to get any tickets to any of the events that I was interested in seeing, so I didn't get to see anything, but I really wanted to go and see Olympic Village and kind of see where everything happened and see the venue, and I was really excited to do that. So a couple of weeks leading up to the vacation, a friend of mine, Brianna, and I got all of our travel plans made from Seoul to Pyeongchang. Now, keep in mind, getting to Pyeongchang from Paju, where we live, is not exactly easy. You have to take a bus from Paju to Seoul, then get on a subway to get to the train station in Seoul, then take the train from Seoul to Pyeongchang. So it's not exactly a short trip, and definitely not one that I wanted to go on alone, which is why I'm really glad that Brianna was there with me. But plans changed a little bit when Brianna was able to score a single ice skating ticket for that morning, and she pushed her leaving time a bit earlier. I was like, oh man, so I'm gonna have to go all alone, but that was okay. I was like, we'll figure it out, it'll be fine. So we have our plan set in place. Brianna's gonna go there in the morning, watch the ice skating, and I'm gonna meet her there at the ice arena after after skating is over. It's gonna be great. So I wake up in the morning, get my bus from Paju to Seoul, find the right subway station, find the right train to get to the train station. I get on my train from Seoul to Pyeongchang. It was really, really cool to get to kind of see all of the culture kind of in the same little hub of the world that really is kind of indicative of the Olympics. I mean, while we were on the train, I was sitting next to someone who just so happened to also be from Texas, but then a couple of rows away, there were people from Spain who were all decked out in Spanish gear, and there's just so many different languages being spoken everywhere. It was really, really cool to experience. And that was just the train ride over there. So we go, it's about an hour and a half train ride from Seoul to Pyeongchang, and we get off there. And I'm like, okay, great, here we are, we're at the Olympics, this is awesome. So I get off the train and I walk into the station.
It looks like I have made it to the Olympics. Oh, wait, hold on. Not yet.
And I'm kind of confused because it's like there's lots of stuff about the Olympics kind of around, but there's no really event center anywhere. And what I didn't realize is that there's shuttle buses that take you from the train station to the actual Olympic venues. But I didn't realize that. I was kind of nervous getting stuck at Pyeongchang because I didn't realize there's actually 3 venues that the Olympics were taking place at. There was, I really hope I say these right, Pyeongchang, Jinbu, and Gangneung. And so I'd gotten off at Pyeongchang, but all of the ice skating stuff was happening in Gangneung, which is where Brianna was. Instead of looking around Pyeongchang for a little bit, I just got straight on the train and went back to Gangneung, which I'm really glad I did because we had set a meeting time at 2:30 when her event would be over. And so we knew that that's when we had to be there, and we would meet up outside like the merch store or whatever it was. And so I'm really glad that I didn't hang around in Pyeongchang for too long because I got to Gangneung at about 11:30 maybe and didn't actually get into Olympic Plaza or Olympic Park, whichever one it was, until about 2 o'clock. And it's not because of a super long line or anything like that, it's because I was not super smart. And I did pretty much everything wrong until I finally got there. So Brianna had texted me, you take the shuttle bus to get from the train station to Olympic Park. So I walk outside and I see this like little hand-drawn sign on like a bus stop that says up Olympic Park, and perpendicular to it, TS22. I was like, oh, I want to go to the Olympic Park. This is a bus stop sign. It must be pointing me towards the bus stop to take me to Olympic Park. And I was wrong. Turns out there was a walking path that was about a half mile from the train station to Olympic Park, and I didn't realize that that was the case. So I'm walking and we reached like this big sign that says 2018 Olympics Pyeongchang, welcome, blah, 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 Olympic Park, that way. It was at the very bottom of this giant hill / mountain thing. I'm gonna call it a mountain because it was really, really steep. And so I'm like, well, I guess I gotta go that way. So I started walking up the mountain.
So I think I took the wrong path. Instead of driving on the shuttle bus to Olympic Park, I'm walking there up a giant freaking mountain. It is kind of cold, and I'm not in great shape. I'm now realizing. So we'll see where I end up. It'll be an adventure. It'll be fun.
And you know it's a pretty tough mountain when there are Olympians walking up the same hill and panting, not as heavy as you, but pretty darn heavy. So I finally made it to Olympic Village. I was like, yes, this is great. I'm gonna go on in, I'm gonna look around, it's gonna be really, really cool, and I'll meet Brianna in about an hour and a half. I'll also find food or whatever it may be. So what I assumed is each big arena was going to have their own little ticket counters there. So you go, if you bought tickets, which I don't know why you would not buy tickets before going to the Olympics like me. What I didn't count on was there was a general ticket booth to get into Olympic Park. And there was no way to get in without a ticket. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to get in. This is the worst.
I don't really know how to get inside. So, yeah.
So I pull out my phone to text Brianna and be like, hey, were you able to get in without your ticket, or did you have to show your ice skating ticket? And lo and behold, my phone dies right there. So I have nothing. I'm like, I have no idea what to do. I'm walking around asking people, like, can I get in without a ticket? They only kind of understand what I'm asking, and all this stuff was just happening, and I was freaking out. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So after an hour of walking around asking people questions, I finally walk up to the ticket booth, and it says on a little sign, park entry with event ticket, or park entry with Olympic Park ticket for 2,000 won, which is about $2. So I spent an hour walking around when I could have been waiting in line to buy a $2 ticket to get into Olympic Park. It was that easy. That was all I had to do. I didn't realize that. So I'm like, okay, that's fine, whatever. I go and I stand in line, and by this point, I don't have a watch. My phone is dead, so I have no idea what time it is. Brianna could be anywhere at this point. As I'm snaking through the line, and this is a huge line, someone comes out and yells, only 100 tickets left for Olympic Park. And I was like, oh no, that's bad, because that means if I can't get that ticket, I can't get in and I can't do what we were planning on doing. And so I'm kind of there, I'm like 3/4 of the way back, and I'm like counting all the people. I'm like, okay, I might be okay. I might be able to get through this entire line, and there might be 100 tickets left. I wasn't entirely sure. And so I'm about 20 people from the front of the line, and this guy comes back out and he's holding a sign, and it kind of looks like through it, like reading through it, it almost looks like sold out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have, the ticket's gone. I can't get in now. And he comes out and is like, 50 more tickets. And I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm going to get my ticket. I'm going to get in. This is great. So I get my ticket, I go in, and it's about 2 o'clock, 2:15 by this point. I'm like, man, this is stressful, but it's all over now. I'll go meet Brianna at the Superstore, and it'll be great. We'll go and we'll explore Olympic Village and see all there is to see, and it'll be just a super fun time. But it wasn't quite that easy. So the Superstore was just a madhouse, and I'm like, oh man, this is nuts. And it's one of those deals where you start at one point and you kind of funnel through and you leave the exit way. You can't really go backwards. I was terrified that I wasn't going to be able to find Brianna in this mass of people. It was absolutely insane. And so I'm like, okay, well, she might be here already. I have no idea. My phone is dead. I can't get in touch with her. So I guess I'm just gonna kind of snake through and see if she's there. So I kind of snake through. I'm looking around, and I determined kind of without a doubt that she's not there. I was like, okay, she hasn't come through here yet, I don't think. So I'll just wait by the door, it'll be great. So there's like 2 sets of doors for the Superstore. The first door was like where all the kids were taking pictures with the mascot for the Olympics and all that kind of stuff. And then the second door was the actual store. So I'm waiting behind the second door where I can see out the first door to see if Brianna's coming in. I realize about 10-15 minutes in that I am definitely in the background of all of the pictures that were being taken of this mascot with these little kids. So it was all these little kids super excited to see the little mascot, and then me just looming in the background very intently looking for my friend. So after about 20 minutes of waiting, I was like, oh man, this is not good. She may have come by and I missed her. Well, what in the world? And I'm debating with myself, like, do I go and look again? Or what if she comes in as I'm looking and we kind of just miss each other? And so I was like, oh man, but I finally decided, it's like, okay, if she's not in here now, the line outside is also super long. She might be waiting in that line. I might go find her there. So I walk outside the store and I'm kind of looking up and down this line, and I look like an absolute freak because I'm just like, where is she? So after about 15 minutes waiting, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I guess I was about to get back in line to go into the store again to see if she had slipped in while I slipped out. and I hear her calling me, and I was like, oh, thank goodness we found each other. We were able to connect even though I didn't have my phone, and continue with the plans like we had set them.
Well, we finally made it into the Olympics. I found Brianna. We're here! I'm so happy. Look at that, that's so cool.
So we did everything we could in Gangneung. We went and walked around and saw the event venues and saw everything there was to see there. And to be honest, we felt kind of underwhelmed. I, at least for one, expected to go and have something kind of similar to Disneyland with just branding everywhere, really, really like a specific feel of everything, and like a bunch of different food stalls and a bunch of different stuff. And it was just kind of like, it was really underwhelming. It was very much like, there's a food stall here, and there's another food stall way over there, and there was a lot of like really excited energy from the people, which was really, really cool. But the actual venue was just kind of your run-of-the-mill sports venue, which was kind of disappointing. At one point, we even went to one of the food stalls expecting to get like this really, really good, like anywhere from the world food. It's like gonna be, oh my gosh, so cool. I go and I order something, and like, oh no, we're out of that. And I order something else, oh no, we're out of that. I was like, okay. Can I just get a hot dog? Because I can see them spinning on a little deliciousness thing. So they take it out, and normally, just when I generally get a hot dog, it comes in a bun. It didn't come in a bun. It came in like a little cardboard sleeve. So I have this naked hot dog in a cardboard sleeve, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Okay, and they're like, would you like mustard and ketchup? I was like, yeah, I'll take mustard, great. So I put the mustard on and I take a bite, and I had forgotten that pretty much anywhere in the area of South Korea that I've been, whenever you get mustard, it's not normal mustard, it's honey mustard. Which, I like honey mustard as much as the next guy, but when you're expecting normal yellow mustard, and you get a honey mustard on your naked hot dog in a cardboard sleeve, you're a little disappointed. It's not exactly the stadium food that you're used to, that you were expecting to get at the Olympics. But it was all fine. After we explored Gangneung, we were kind of like, okay, well, what do we do next? I had heard from my friends on the train that Jinbu's really where the most stuff happens. That's where like the opening ceremonies were, the closing ceremonies were, and it was also kind of the place where you could see all of the like outdoor events. So we're like, okay, well, let's go check out there. I mean, we have 4 or 5 hours before we have to get our train back to Seoul. Let's just go and see what that's all about. And I'm so glad we did, because that's what really made the trip absolutely worth it. So we finally got the bus to Olympic Plaza, met a man on the bus who was from Iraq, who was speaking to us in Spanish, which just, again, shows the melting pot that is the Olympics, which is really, really interesting and cool. So we get to Jinbu, which is where the Olympic Plaza is, and I'm a little bit nervous because I know Brianna's going to be able to get in because she has her ticket. I don't. I have my park ticket for Olympic Park. It was very clear on the signs for Olympic Park only, and only 1 entry per ticket. So I knew that if I went and I tried to use it for Olympic Plaza, I wasn't going to be able to get in. And since they were selling out at about 2 at the other place, I imagined there wasn't going to be very many, if any at all, to sell to get in there. So I was really nervous. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get in. I'm like, you know what, I'll try it, this will be great. So how it works is there's security and then the ticket counter. So we go through security, I'm like, okay, great, hi. And I'm just like, I'm not gonna be able to get in, I'm not gonna be able to get in, whatever. And so I go up and I hand my ticket to the person. I'm like, hey, how's it going? They're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm smiling and waving because you smiled and waved and I don't actually know what you're saying. And I hand my ticket and she scans it, and a big red X flashes across the screen. I'm like, okay, thank you. And I grab the ticket and I walk on by, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna go. The worst thing we can do is they can like come and make me leave. And I kind of peek back, and the person who was clearly the supervisor was like kind of berating this person, like, no, it's X, you can't let him go, and like all this stuff. I was like, okay. And I kind of walk around the corner out of sight and wait for Brianna there because I didn't know what to do. I was like, I'm going to just continue going in. And so I was able to sneak into the Olympics, which is so against everything I ever do. I'm such a serial rule follower. I don't know what possessed me to do that. I don't know if it was because I was with friends and I didn't want to let them down, or if it was because I was at the Olympics, and I mean, what other opportunity was I going to do that? But I ended up sneaking into the Olympics, quote unquote, sneaking into the Olympics, because I didn't have a valid ticket, and no one stopped me. And we just so happened to get there in the middle of a lot of medal ceremonies. We get there, it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. We get to see that. We saw one of like Germany winning. And then The next one up was one of the snowboarding events where the kid from America won. It was like America won gold and Canada won the bronze and silver, which means that we got to sing the national anthem at the Olympics in Seoul. Which, that right there was worth the entire day of figuring stuff out. It was absolutely surreal. It was a really weird experience to see that and to be able to do that. Not a lot of people were able to say that they went and were able to sing their own national anthem at the Olympics in a foreign country. So that right there just made the entire trip worth it, and I absolutely loved it. It was really, really cool. So after that, we walked around a bunch more. We saw the torch, we took a bunch more pictures, saw all of like the flags in the big circle, which was really, really cool. And then we found our way back to the bus, which was a lot harder than it should have been. Found our way back to the train station, was able to go on our merry way. We got where we were going, and it was really, really cool looking back on the day, even though I spent most of my time on the bus or on the train. It was really cool to see like all of the different cultures represented there and people there to cheer on their country. And so even though it wasn't what I expected with the actual venue and it not being as grand as I thought it would be, the really cool part was seeing all of the people and all of the cultural mesh that was happening, which was really, really cool and really worthwhile. And so I really enjoyed it. Definitely something to check off the bucket list. And I hope you enjoyed some stories about it. I've really been looking forward to sharing this with you, and now I finally got kind of a free moment. It's been absolutely crazy getting back to work after the break, but I'm glad that I finally got to sit down and make this so you all could hear a little bit more about my Olympic experience. So if you want to hear more about the adventures that I continue to go on here in Korea, be sure to like and subscribe so you can keep up to date with everything. And until then, I will see you guys in the next video.